And welcome back to the South Asia Pulse YouTube channel, guys. It's not a very happy video today, let's say that. I want to talk to you about the recent events in Azad, Jammu and Kashmir. The protests, the clashes, and the unrest that's happening. As many of you know, I've spent years travelling about Pakistan and Azad Kashmir. Hence why I've been asked to host this channel. But I've probably spent more time in Azad Kashmir, to be honest with you. Mirpur, Dadial, Chakswari, Kotli, Muzaffarabad, Ravlakot, all beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Azad Kashmir to me is it's my happy place. You know, it's the drive through Kotli and stuff. It's just beautiful. And it's some of the friendliest people I've ever met in my life. So to see all this stuff happening, extremely hard to watch. I want to be very clear though in this video at the start of the video, so let me just make this extremely clear. I'm not here preaching to anybody. I'm not here pointing the finger saying, they did this, they did that, they're wrong, they're right. I'm not doing that. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to understand that if I understand the situation correctly. Some of you might actually understand it completely better than me. So I'm hoping that you can help me in this video. So I'm going to lay out my research, the things that I've seen online, documents, comment sections on social media, and I'm going to put it to you, and then you can tell me if, yes, Callum, you're correct, that's exactly how it is, or no, Callum, you've missed this bit, here's a key part that you've missed. So hopefully nobody gets offended by this, because I want you to help me understand. I just wanted to say that at the start of the video. So without further ado, let's get into it. So I'm going to tell you my research on it, and I just want you to be honest with me and say yes, you're correct, or no, you're not correct, because I want to learn. As I said, I spend so much time in Pakistan and Azad Kashmir, so I don't want this video to offend anybody. Don't want anybody to get upset, because I'm trying to learn, and who better to ask than you guys in Pakistan and Azad Kashmir. So let me explain what I've sort of found online, and then you can correct me, or you can tell me yes, it's correct. So my understanding is this didn't just happen overnight. It's been a sequence of events for the last few years. So in May 2024, the Joint Action Committee, JAC for short, raised demands for subsidised electricity. And in response to this, the government of Pakistan announced budgetary support for the government of Azad, Jammu and Kashmir, enabling the provision of electricity at a flat rate of 3 rupees per unit. I believe that's correct. That's the information that I get online. So again, that's the first part. If I'm wrong, then correct me. But that's how I understand it. And also, according to online reports, it says that wasn't just the cheapest in Pakistan, that was the cheapest in all of South Asia at that time. And at the same time, the AJK government also reduced the price of flour. In 2025, JAC presented a comprehensive chart of their demands covering administrative, developmental and constitutional matters. JAC announced its intentions to stage a long march. And in response to this, the Prime Minister of Pakistan formed a high-level committee comprising of federal ministers and invited JAC representatives for dialogue. So it's my understanding and reading online that during those meetings, several meetings actually, an agreement in principle was made by the Pakistan government and JAC that all of the points would be done except one. That one was the removal of 12 seats reserved for refugees in the AJK Legislative Assembly. By early 2026, 24 out of the 38 demands had been done and accomplished. I think there was 13 outstanding, and those depended on the upcoming budgetary allocations. I believe that was the case in early 2026. Key measures included the announcement of an AJK airport and the initiation of its technical feasibility studies, the abolition of 5 kilowatt electricity load charges for schools and colleges, the reduction of the property transfer fee from 29% down to 14%, the resignation of members elected on refugee seats from ministerial positions, with none holding such offices in the current AJK cabinet, the completion of the Rathua Haryam Bridge in Mirpur, formal submission by the Bank of AJK of a request to the State Bank of Pakistan for scheduled bank status, and the restoration of the health card scheme in AJK. So according to online, on the 1st of April 2026, JAC acknowledged that the majority of the demands had been met. I think there's a document where they acknowledged that. Additional steps included the merger of departments, the reinstatement of suspended employees, the release of detained protesters, the withdrawal of the first information reports, except those involving individuals directly responsible for the killing of security personnel, and the provision of employment to the son of the deceased Azar. So with regard to the refugee seats, this seems to be the sticking point, and this is the bit that took me hours yesterday. I was looking online trying to wrap my head around the full situation. So hopefully you can help me with this part. I believe the Pakistan government told Jack that in order to achieve that, there would have to be a constitutional amendment to the Azad Jammu and Kashmir Interim Constitution Act 1974, which could only be effected through the Legislative Assembly. I believe the AJK government also got the opinion of the Supreme Court on that matter, and they also verified that. Again, I could be wrong with that. This is just the information that I'm seeing online. Maybe you can correct me otherwise. So I believe the Supreme Court explicitly said that this was a constitutional matter. And they said that it couldn't even be changed with an executive order, ordinance, notification, or judicial decree. That's what I was reading online. Again, I could be wrong, but you tell me otherwise. So obviously this is where the stumbling block came in. And I believe that Jack were invited to an all-parties conference in the first week of June 2026. They declined that invitation. As far as I read online, they declined the invitation and continued for their long march. The call for the long march, they continued on that front. So when you look online and you scroll back months, and you can see that the supporters of the Jack movement and people in Azad Kashmir were calling for protests. All the comments are there, so that's how far I've actually scrolled back. So Jack seemed to have a lot of support in this matter. Jack members publicly stated that if the seats were not abolished, they would occupy the Assembly, the Prime Minister's house, the President's house, and other government buildings in Muzaffarabad. And at that very same time, the Election Commission of AJK, they issued the schedule for the election to go ahead on the 27th of July, I believe it was. And according to online, the Prime Minister of AJK held meetings with Jack representatives at that time and held a 3-hour discussion with Raja Amjad Ali advocate in Muzaffarabad, urging them to contest the election so that if elected, they could secure the required amendment through the Assembly on the first day. Jack again refused and reaffirmed his commitment to the long march. So my understanding at this point in the matter is Jack are adamant that they need to get these 12 seats abolished. The Pakistan government are saying, look, we legally cannot do that. And this is where the friction really starts to happen. So Jack's position is very clear. Abolish, or we will occupy the Assembly and Prime Minister's house. And this is where the Pakistan government decided to act, and they went to arrest the Jack leadership. When the arrest of Umar Nazir was happening, obviously there's a lot of, everyone's very tense, tempers are getting up. Like, I wasn't there, so let's just make that clear. But obviously tensions are very high. Something happened. A member called Shazib, I believe the name was Shazib, he was killed in the chaos. How that happened exactly, I don't know. But that much I do know is, I'm pretty certain that's fact. And obviously at this point, this escalated everything when widespread protests began to happen. Now these protests were, I could be wrong again, but I believe that they were pretty much concentrated on Ravlicote. The protesters attempted to occupy the CMH, I believe. And obviously the road was blocked and stuff. People were angry, and I think this is when the security forces stepped in and all hell broke loose. And at this point, there was fatalities on both sides. It wasn't just the Jack supporters, and it wasn't just the security forces on the other side. I think there was deaths on both sides. Again, I'm getting all this information online, so if there's anything you want to add, maybe one of you watching this were actually there at that point. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit or give a little bit more context to it, but that's my understanding of it. Now obviously this chaos galvanised the Jack supporters and the people in the local area, and this is when they became adamant on the long march. This is where they decided, yeah, we are going to Muzaffarabad. But I'm asking myself, if this march goes ahead and they get to Muzaffarabad and they occupy the Assembly and they say, right, You better abolish these seats. And the Pakistan government go, we can't. It's constitutional. I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking at it going, what happens then? What happens? What happens at that point? Again, I don't know. I'm trying to understand what happens at that point, because someone's obviously said, right, we're going to Muzaffarabad, we need to push on with this. But what happens when they get there? I've no idea. Honestly, I've no idea. At that point, when they get there, does the Pakistan government keep saying, we can't do it, it's constitutional? And they say, well, we're not leaving, or this isn't stopping until we get it. What happens? Honestly, I do not know. I don't have an answer for that. So I believe that the Pakistan government have come out and said that the matter is 100% constitutional, and no amount of street action can resolve it. Again, I'm getting this information online, guys, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the point where I go, well, okay, can they effectively get into government and do it the other way? I don't know. I'm trying to wrap my head around it, so you can bear with me on this one. I'm just trying to work out what happens when you actually get to Muzaffarabad. I don't know. All I do know is it's sad and pathetic seeing people lying on the streets of Mirpur and Ravlicote and stuff. Places that I absolutely love, and I have had the best experiences. Anybody asks me the best place that I've travelled to, it's always Azad Kashmir in Pakistan. People are so friendly. So watching this stuff it feels like a different world, to be honest with you. And I always try and tell people, sometimes I forget, sometimes I always equate the people of Pakistan and the people of Azad Kashmir as one. And I know there is differences. I understand that. Yeah, very proud Kashmiris. A lot of my friends are very proud Kashmiris. But it's because the kindness and the hospitality are so similar. So it's sad to see that these people, there's now a big divide online, shall we say. I see it when I'm scrolling social media. And it's sad. It is really sad. So as far as I'm aware, currently all offers to Jack have been rejected as we sit here on Wednesday. And I believe Ravlicote's got a lot to do with it as well. I believe that there was a 1.5 month sit-in in Ravlicote in Darrell. Is that right? Darrell? Is that how you pronounce it? If I remember correctly, Darrell is the name. And I believe during that time there was schools closed and other things. I'm trying to remember what else. Shops, businesses, things like that. So I believe it was like I don't know if that was against the wishes of the people who lived there, or whether the people were doing that in support. Again, maybe you guys from Azad Kashmir, maybe you can tell me a little bit more of that situation. So when the elections were scheduled for the 27th of July, Jack announced the long march for the 26th of July, I believe. On the 27th, the supporters reached Ravlicote with the main aim to reach Muzaffarabad. What the intentions were when they get to Muzaffarabad, I don't know. Was it to disrupt the votes? I don't know, but when they get there or en route, this is where things become not good. This is where all the sort of scenes that I was watching online and stuff, very, very sad. So the protesters, as far as I'm aware, were intercepted by the Pakistani Rangers. That confrontation resulted in several deaths. This is another thing. Online I'm seeing 26 dead, 50 dead, 66 dead. One person dead is too many. I don't know. I'm seeing clips online and I'm going, wow, that's terrible. And then some of the comments are saying, this isn't even from Azad, Jammu and Kashmir. This is an incident years ago in Karachi. And I'm like, trying to not get sort of caught up in it all, because you know how easy it is for people to post stuff online when it's the wrong information. So it's I'm trying to not get involved in that aspect to it, because it's easy to get caught up in all that. But it's sad seeing this. It's really sad. And I'm getting some people saying, why are you not making videos about this? I'm saying to myself, I don't know all the facts, and I don't want anybody coming on here thinking that I'm saying this is what happened and this is what happened, and all I can do is take the information that I see online and try and piece it together, and hopefully it makes sense. This is why I'm putting the video out, so that you can tell me if I've got the correct information. But The information that I've given you on this video, this is the information that I'm seeing online. On a personal opinion, I think could more have been done to get a resolution without these protests taking place. Was there more peaceful avenues that Jack could have went down? Could there have been more peaceful? Could there have been a resolution to all this without all this chaos happening? I don't know. I'm not part of it, so I don't know. But it's sad, and it's sad to see Pakistanis and people of Azad, Jammu, and Kashmir arguing online. It's not nice to see, to be honest with you. But it's one of my favourite places in the world is Pakistan and Azad Kashmir. So I'm praying that the problem gets resolved fairly quickly, amicably, and that people can walk away happy. But when there's this amount of deaths that have now happened, it's, I don't know, it's sad. It is sad. Again, this video is not made for me to be sitting there. This video is for discussions, for you guys to comment. Everything that I've said in this video is things that I've seen online, I've seen on news clips. So yeah, I just thought I would make this video, and hopefully it can bring about discussions and people will know that I am thinking of them in Azad Kashmir and Azad Jammu and Kashmir and Pakistan. So yeah, stay tuned for the next one, guys. Let me know in the comments what you think. Cheers.